Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Tuesday.
Yes, it is. Good morning, Bob, and everyone else. How are you today?
I am a little tired. I stayed up for the Ravens game, dealt with some frustration early in the game, and then watched the game, and then struggled to get to sleep.
Yeah, it was kind of the same way. It was kind of the same. Interesting. I thought I'd already, I'm going to go to bed. I'm exhausted. I'll just fall asleep. It didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Sure, we're not alone.
Correct. There are many others, especially those who went to the game. They are probably regretting having to get up early this morning. Maybe they were smart and they took the day off. They were planning ahead.
Yeah,
we'll see. Anyhow, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we have a discussion around a topic. That topic this week is doubt. And at the end of the podcast, we try to provide our one thing, the one thing that we think might help you deal with the topic and take your next step forward. You may not use it today, or you might use it somewhere down the line, but we know that you will hopefully find value in it and that you may share it with others. So if you are listening to the podcast, please feel free to give us a rating. That'll help get the message out even more. And feel free to share it with your family and friends. No hint on what rating today, Bob?
5 stars.
There we go. Thank you. Waiting for that. You get in the
I know,
routine
I like
and you
the
get off the routine. And throws me off. If you are watching this on Facebook Live, YouTube, or Twitter,
like us.
Please like us. Thank you. And you would also welcome a comment, because we know that your thoughts will help impact what happens and the value we're able to provide. And at the end, if you have one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know that that will also add value to others, which is what we're trying to do with this show. Provide value and some information, and maybe a little witty banter, although that's pretty debatable.
There's banter, but whether it's witty is really a personal choice.
Good point. So one of the first things we always do at the start of every show is to celebrate. What are you celebrating? Ooh, look at that. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
I'm celebrating that you can really doubt something, and in the end, it works out. So I know you know where I'm going, but last night, I was watching the Ravens game. They were horrible for 3 quarters, and I had a lot of doubt about their ability to win that football game. And suddenly they started to play better, and I was skeptical, and they were playing better, and that got to overtime, and they won in overtime. So my doubts were unfounded in the end. And so I'm celebrating the fact that even though we can have doubts, things sometimes turn around in our favor. And we just happens. And that unpredictability is something, and relates to our topic, of course.
Yes, it does. I have some thoughts on that, but I'll wait to share it when we dive into the topic a little bit. I don't want to get us way off track and be having our discussion and not get to celebrate what's going on with the world. So,
what's your celebration?
My celebration is that I looked at my calendar last night and I have absolutely nothing scheduled. No meetings, nothing. So I was able. But
lots to do.
And I like those days sometimes, because I can then plug in what are the key things that I need to get done. I know Bob hates those days.
You're so opposite.
I thought he was making some progress towards actually enjoying the time to do some things, but I'm not buying into it yet. So that's my celebration.
Okay. It works. Hey, and if that's something to celebrate, that's great. Different strokes for different folks. Doesn't mean you're right or I'm wrong or vice versa. It just means that that's what works for you.
That's what's real.
It's part of being a renegade, right? Renegades can go their own way.
Yes, indeed. So what are you or not? What are you celebrating? What is the world celebrating today?
It is National Saving Day. So this is a day set aside to highlight the need to save money.
You sure it's about saving money?
What's that?
You sure it's about saving money?
It's about saving money.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This is a day, as you probably know, many Americans are behind in their savings. Lots of people don't even have money for a rainy day event. If your refrigerator goes up and you have to buy a new refrigerator, they don't have money for that. I know a fair number of new entrepreneurs who are not putting money away for their taxes. When that comes, I made that mistake one year, and
it's easy to do.
Worked the first 3 months of the new year to basically have enough money to pay the tax bill, which, got to tell you, not the most motivating way to go to work. When you realize, hey, I'm going to make $600 for this project, and Uncle Sam's going to take all $600 because I didn't put some money aside. So saving for whatever you're choosing to save for. And also, I think in terms of our idea about celebration, putting some money aside to plan to do things to either celebrate or take steps in your business. I at times put money aside for capital improvements for my business. I have a computer issue right now. I'm trying to squirrel away some money to buy a new computer. And so I think it's a really important day that has a lot of implications for leaders. Leaders certainly can put money aside in their budgets for unforeseen expenses, or if the perfect employee were to come out of the blue, that person you've always wanted, oh, how can we afford this person? Oh, I put some money aside. So I think there's a lot of implications for that in what we talk about.
I wonder why October 12th.
There's a reason, and I'm totally blanking. There is a reason.
Is it so you can start saving now? If you start saving now, you'll have money for holiday gifts, or
no,
maybe
it's a birthday or the first day something happened. I can't remember what it is, but I remember October 12th registers in my head as it was a big day. But that's the kind of level of research, Tom, that we need to have a staff for that kind of research.
We need better do some savings so that we can have a staff to do some of that research.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the morning show on what's it on? It's on Apple Plus.
Yes.
Okay. I started watching that in the last couple of days, and I'm amazed at how many people it takes to do a simple morning show compared to what it takes for us.
Well, yes, we are.
Yeah. And so in my head,
high technology, high level.
What I'm thinking is we need that kind of setup. An executive producer, a director, an assistant for each of us, and people to go out and write the copy. And I think a teleprompter would really up our game. Let's be honest.
I don't think I would like a teleprompter. The only thing I would
never
like,
use it.
I would just use it to be like
the opposite.
Here are the topics. Hey, don't forget we want to mention this. We want to mention this. Yeah. Not like, here are the words you need to say. That would drive me nuts. Because I definitely would feel like I was reading.
So why don't we turn to our topic?
Can we do one thing first?
Sure.
So we have a comment I'd like to share. Somebody is wishing us, Beth is wishing us a good morning. So
that would be my sister, Beth.
I know. Beth has become a diligent listener. So we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Means
and a good morning to you as well, Beth.
Yes.
All right, Bob. So we're talking about doubt. Yesterday, we talked about doubt in ourselves. Today, we are going to talk about doubt in others. So do you have some thoughts on that?
I do, but I'm going to let you go first because you said that you had some thoughts earlier and you held them. So I don't want you to lose them because they seem pertinent. We were talking about the Ravens game.
Yes.
So
well, it was, what I was thinking about was doubt often comes from expectations, right? You were watching the game, you had an expectation, the Ravens have 3 wins and 1 loss, and they have a quarterback that everybody thinks is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and the defense that is usually pretty good. And so there are expectations. And yet when those expectations aren't initially met, there, I'm sure, were a lot of fans that had a lot of doubt in the team, like you, until about 5 minutes to go in the game, or a little less. Actually, probably about 30 seconds to go in the game. When
I was
they
going to say
finally
about
tied it
7
up
minutes
40.
into overtime.
Yes. So, I think it's one of those things. One of the things that I've tried to do is not have those expectations. I can remember distinctly, I worked for someone, I was in athletics, fundraising in athletics, and the athletic director, every year the basketball schedule would come out. And, he would go through and make predictions like, I think our record's going to be this. And I'd be like, all you're doing is setting yourself up to 2 games in. If it's not where you're at, you're going to doubt whether or not the team is any good, whether you've given them a chance to really develop or not. And I think that those expectations that we set can lead to so many challenges for us. Doubt being a big one. When you think that this is what's going to happen, especially I think in athletics, when there's another team. I have to tell you this story. We were watching the Bills, which people know is my favorite team. And I was probably 17 or 18 maybe. And my parents are passionate Bills fans. And they have some high expectations, especially back then. This is when they were good previously. Not their 20-year drought of not being so good. And my mom was getting all upset about how the team was performing, to the point where I got up and left the room. I'm like, I cannot do this.
Wow.
They said, there's another team that's trying to win as well. And I think that reminder of, the other team's getting paid too. They are professionals as well. They were selected out of thousands of college football players and other professional players to be there. They're trying to win as well. And so when that's the case, it's hard to have expectations. I mean, everyone wants to. You want to think, oh, yeah, our team is really good and they're going to win. And when they don't, it's easy to lose faith or have doubt in what you can achieve. And I think that goes to our organizations or our businesses as well, especially with staff. I think you have expectations. You hire someone based on their resume, their background, the way that they interacted with you at an interview. And so you set expectations. Oh, I think this person is going to be excellent. And then they come in and they likely are not going to meet expectations. That was the same thing. The same athletic director, we'd have recruits come in. And the phrase he just would always say is, he's the real deal. And we'd nod our heads and okay. And guaranteed they would never live up to, or rarely live up to, the expectations. Because when you hear that, you're like, wow, this person's going to be like the next Michael Jordan. And how no other program, we were a very low-level Division I program. No other program found this player. Made me pause. So I think that those expectations sometimes set us up to lead to doubt.
Well, and I was going to take this in a little bit different direction. I think about when I have doubts in the team I'm working with, or when I have doubts in other people, in clients, in those situations. It's often because those people don't look at it the way I look at it. So
how can they?
I'm sorry?
How can they?
They can't. But in my mind, it's like, well, if they understood this the way I understood this, they'd work Sunday night to get this done. If they did, it's a lot of ifs based on the predicate being predicate. Ooh, big word. If it's focused on me, it's going to be hard for them to meet the expectations. And you bring up the hiring. When we hire people, I think there's a fallacy that they're going to come in and fall into how we do things. But really what I think organizations really experience is you bring someone in and the whole thing morphs. There's a shift.
Correct.
It can't be that. How often have you ever worked in a situation where someone gets hired and they come in and they just fit right into the puzzle perfectly. It never happens. But I think that's what our expectation is, because that's easy, that's safe, that's comfortable. And when we take it away and say, okay, you're going to hire this person as a vice president or a sales manager, whatever it is, even a office manager, you think they're going to come in and adhere to all the rules and do things the way you've always done it because it's your organization. But I think that's not true. I think the reality is they come in, they have ideas, they have knowledge, perspective, and experience. You do, everyone on the team does. And because that person starts to share, there's a shift. And I think that's where that whole doubt is. I think doubt in organizations especially is around the idea that we have to change. And I don't know if I'm able to change. And rather than worry about my ability to change and what I need to do, it's easier to doubt other people and project it onto them.
And I would imagine that that's a lot of times why, especially small business owners and entrepreneurs, don't hire people to do the things that they're not really strong at or don't like doing, because they have doubt that the other person is going to do it the way they want it done, or that they're going to do it to the level that your expectation is. And I think, like, again, it to me is it's a lot about what are your expectations. If my expectation is, well, we'll never find anybody who could produce this show the way that we wanted to produce this show, and someone who could do our social media the way we would do our social media. And I think
we do social media.
Isn't this social media?
Oh, okay. And the other thing, Tom, if you think about it, with the two of us, there are times where you take roles and do things because we know it's your strong suit. I don't do any of the graphics. You like doing them. You do a great job with them. I do some of the other things, and we've developed this comfort. And I think there are times where you're doing something where I'm like, I would be so much better at that. And I'm sure there are times when you say the same thing to me in your head about me.
Never.
Liar.
You call me a liar?
Come on. You've got to do that once in a while, don't you?
I don't think so.
Oh, now we've created yet another Coaching Bob session coming up.
Well,
look for November, where every day Bob will be coached on one of the many things he said during these broadcasts that he shouldn't have.
The topic will be Bob. What about Bob? No,
I bet we get more interest in that than we realize.
I think one of the reasons I don't is because, we've worked together long enough. And so I have an understanding of what you are going to do and a comfort level that it might not be done the way I would do it.
And that's what I meant.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, I think that that doesn't bother me. It's interesting. Something maybe that I need to work on is, how do I have more comfort in others that I'm not as familiar with to do those types of skills that, I mean, really, should I be doing graphics? Honestly, is that the best use of our time? My time?
Probably not.
But at the moment, that's the way it is. And I think
you also enjoy it.
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
And I think that's part of this, that, I know you like doing the graphics. I know you have a sensibility to it. And we've come to an agreement about the graphics that you show the graphic every morning. I never question that it's going to be. And any other graphic you create aligns with what we're doing, because we've had those discussions. And I think sometimes doubt comes around, especially in organizations, and even more so when they're growing, when the rules of the road are not clear. Knowing those guardrails. If you know the guardrails, you know that the graphics are all going to have blue and dark blue and some yellow or orange. We're not going to have green. We've come to that. So that means that within that structure, if I know where the guardrails are and you know where the guardrails are, the doubt really goes out the window largely, right? Doubt really comes about when you don't know what to expect, right?
Right. And sometimes there's no way you can know what to expect, except, going back to hiring someone, looking at past work, talking to past people who were involved with them, and your situation is going to be different and unique. And so while what they did at a past employer, with a past employer or a past client or in a past role helps you better understand it. It doesn't mean that that's exactly what's going to happen when they're plugged into a new and different situation.
Well, it's a lot like dating, right? You go on a first date and you these days, I guess that, they look at Match.com or one of those other things and they see an alignment in what they like and they go out on a date. And I've talked to people, it's like you go on that first date and it's like, who's this person? It doesn't align with what they said in their profile, or they just had a discussion that took it somewhere else, and that somewhere else was not in the frame of what they were expecting. And again, we get to expectations.
Sure.
And how many people do you date typically before you find the perfect person, in quotes? And even when they are the perfect person, there's a point down the road for most of us where it's like, they're not perfect. I don't like the way they do this one thing or that one thing, or I don't like, they always leave the toilet seat up and I wish they would put the toilet seat down, or they're always late for parties or whatever it is. And so even where you when you get married, I mean, at least for me, it was, compatibility and it was the right person. But as time came along and we moved through our lives, and I think this is all couples, there were shifts. And those shifts are what bring the doubt about, right?
Yeah, because once you start having experiences, it's no longer expectations.
Yeah.
It's now you have actual examples of what goes well and what doesn't go the way you planned. And I think that's all a part of it with any relationship, professional, personal, is that you only can know what you know. You only know what's real. This is what I know in the moment. And that is going to change because what's real for everyone changes because their knowledge, experience, and perspective changes. And so as those changes happen, you start to now see things that might not work the way you thought they were going to work. And so you start to see how, then you have to, people in the relationship have to adjust.
Yep.
So
and
I
teams
think
do that in workplace. I've been in roles where we hired a person who had similar skills to mine, and they were, they wanted to do all the writing, and I would move into other things and just plug into the holes that were created. And, I'm lucky I can more.
That must have been hard for you. Come on, tell the truth. That was hard for you.
What, the writing?
That you gave up the writing.
I gave up the writing for a while, and it was funny because they brought it back to me. They realized that there was a difference, and I tried to help the person, and they just, they didn't learn from comments the way I did. When people said, I really don't like this phrase, I would strike that phrase from any future thing I wrote. This person would just bring that phrase back 2 weeks later and something else and be like, didn't we talk about this phrase 2 weeks ago? Uh-huh. But I thought it fit here. Yeah. And that's that's a fit issue.
Correct. Well, it's a perspective issue, right?
Yes.
Because we all, and I think that's one of the hard things about anytime you do something with anyone else is, is it always, I had this example with a staff member of mine who came to me with a letter. She was a graduate assistant and was trying to learn. And so often I would just make edits on what she had written. And at one point she finally came to me and said, it would be helpful for me to know why.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a real eye opener for me to be like, yeah, I'm not helping her learn if all I do is just write it the way I would write it. Well, then I should just write it myself.
Yeah.
To get comfort in this is what they have written and maybe then provide some thoughts about that and be okay with, all right, this is what they have written and this is what they were charged with. And to let go of some of that control.
And I think when you set the expectations, hey, if you're going to write this piece, these are the things, the boxes it needs to check. I mean, I know as a writer, for me, just as an example, if someone says this needs to do this, this, and this, it's a piece of cake.
Right.
If they go, well, just write something, Bob. I'm in Never Land. It's a stab. It's a stab in the dark at that point. And I think that's part of this whole discussion of doubt in others. We cause it. Usually the person
Sure.
doesn't do it. It's in our head. It's something that we, as the person interacting with them, bring to it. Someone doesn't bring you doubt.
No, eventually they may by their actions, but a lot of the time
Or
it's
your interpretation of their actions.
correct. But a lot of
Like
times
the
it's
training
expectation.
example you gave with the graduate assistant. How could she have figured it out?
She couldn't. She
Right.
just did what she felt was what she thought was correct.
And if you doubted her abilities at a certain period of time, it would have been because, frankly, she wasn't trained well. She wasn't, you didn't invest, and I don't mean it in a negative way, just, there's
right.
an investment. To eliminate doubt or lessen doubt, we have to invest in the people around us, whether it's your employees, whether it's your peers, if you're at a higher level, your vendors.
Sure.
I mean, I've had doubt in some of my vendors at times, and it's like you got to just talk through and be like, hey, just want to be really clear. This is our goal here. This is how we get paid. We need to align on these things. This is non-negotiable. And they go, oh, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Now the doubt's gone. The doubt usually exists. And I think one of the other things, and this might be my thing for today, because
why don't you go? Well, here's your one thing.
I think we often avoid hard discussions and let doubt fester. Our doubt in others starts to grow because we don't want to explain to them, hey, I've seen you do this a couple times, and our organization does it differently, or I like it done this way. I think we avoid those discussions by and large because they're very uncomfortable and they're not very concrete. And I think you're waiting for that person to push you back and be like, well, I disagree. I've learned over the years that that's healthy, that disagreement, and the discussion around that actually leads to a better place. But when I was younger, it'd be like, I don't want to explain to this person why I have doubts in their abilities, because that's really uncomfortable.
Well, I think one of the ways to look at that differently is they don't have your knowledge, experience, and perspective. So you're always going to have to try to help share a little bit of what those expectations are, so that there isn't that uncertainty. And like I don't really know what he wants. I don't know that he knows what I want, or she. And, I think it's just, about communications in a lot of way, is the doubt rears up because we have expectations of results and of people, and sometimes they aren't met. And when they aren't met, rather than talking it through, going through our 3 questions, what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what we do differently, we just dive right into, well, I'm not sure they're right for the role. I mean, how many people, or how many times have you heard someone gets hired and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, people are like, oh, I'm not sure they're ready or they're right for this role. 2 or 3 weeks. They don't even barely know what's going on in the organization. Right. Yeah. And I think that it's so easy for us to set expectations for ourselves or for the way we look at it, not for the other person, where we don't go in and say, well, here's what the expectations are for the first 30, 60, 90 days. And let's talk about progress towards those goals. It's just like, I talk with a lot of my clients about that now. And I can't ever remember a time when I went into a new role and they asked me for 30, 60, 90 day goals or was provided with them.
No.
So you're almost setting yourself up to have doubt in the person, because how would they know what you expect if you don't share that with them? And so I guess that would be my one thing, is that, communication just plays such a huge role in reducing self-doubt, or not self-doubt, doubt in others, because you have a better understanding of what the expectations are. And, if you are not quick to judge those expectations. Last night, fans were judging their quarterback based on their expectations and a little bit of past performance, not taking into account that every game is different. And there are different things happening in every game and with every team. And so just because you've done that in the past doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do that in the future. And so I think that, having those conversations and not being so quick to judge will help reduce some of the doubt we have in others.
I like that. Tom, we didn't talk about whether I could do this, so I'm going to take a giant leap here. We have 2 spots left in our Find Success the Renegade Way program, which is beginning this coming Saturday. If you are struggling to plan out your day, or if you're struggling to align what you do each day with what you're trying to achieve, if you get stuck, if you have a moment where you can't figure out what the next step is, what we're going to do over 6 weeks is help you come up with a proven method that's going to empower you. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. This isn't like whiteboarding for 12 hours and then, all that conjuring up. This is down and dirty, 15 minutes twice a day. And there's even the opportunity to celebrate every single time.
I like that.
There you go. So if that interests you, please let us know. Track us down. You can go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com, find out more information there. Just go to the program tab and then go to Find Success the Renegade Way. If you're able to, you can text, you can email, you can reply, you can find us. You're adults. If you care enough, you will track us down. I don't need to explain to you how the internet works. You'll find a way to find us. We're pretty available. You could even connect with us on LinkedIn or Twitter and find us there. But 2 spots. I really think that this is going to make a huge difference for the people who have already committed to doing it. And we're looking for 2 more people. And it's going to be a small group. So you're going to get some real one-on-one hand holding at parts of this because we're still working out some of the things with it. And we're looking for feedback. So this is a unique opportunity to really drive results just in time to get it done by Thanksgiving and to be on track for next year being your best year ever.
I like that. Well done.
Thank you.
I approve.
We need a Tom stamp of approval.
Well,
we wouldn't use it much, but
no,
if we did, it would be fine.
Not ahead of time. We'd use it afterwards. We'd be like, oh, okay, great. That was good. I'll take it.
The
All right.
thing is, you and I have a little competition in these programs. It's like, oh, wow, he did that really well. Oh, that was good. Oh, I could have done that better. Oh, you do. You know you do.
I do not. Honestly, I don't.
So November, we've already booked the first 10 days of therapy for Bob.
Yes. I gotta start thinking. I gotta start focusing on that. All right. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you have one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. And as Bob said, I think that, we're really excited about having a chance to bring this program to people because we know that it will benefit them. It will help them look at things a little bit differently and likely reduce not only the doubt they have in themselves, but the doubt they have in others. Because we have seen not only it work for ourselves, we've also seen this method work for our clients. It has made a real difference in how they roll out their day. I had my client I was talking to on Monday and we haven't really talked about this. We started this Renegade Way when we first got started working together. And they brought it up the other day about how now that I really look at my day in this way, it has really made a difference. And so we hope that if you feel like that could be beneficial to you, that you will get in touch with us. If you are interested in being more involved with the Ring of Renegades, I was trying to think where I was going with that.
I was going to say, I was waiting to see that segue. I wanted to help you, but I wasn't sure what I needed to do.
That's all right.
I did have some doubting you at that moment, though. I will confess.
Okay. It's because your expectations are pretty high, I think.
Yeah. We got to get that TV show, Tom.
We're working on that. No. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being a part of our show today. If you are not yet a member of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, we hope that you will join us. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. And then all you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade, because it is a private group, because we are creating a community of people who are trying to help one another take their own unique pathway to success. And we want to be a part of helping you not only take that first step, but get to the results that you desire. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you.
I will. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.